What is up everyone, I am Jordan or JKU390, and today I'm going to be nerding out as I confirm that we are going to be continuing the TrueFriendsGaming Dungeons & Dragons campaign, the Dremerion Tales. Here is the recap of Season 1, with an update at the end. The Dremerion Tales begins with our adventurers waking up inside of a large old wooden ship called IRVINE'S Angel. It's been hijacked by pirates who are using the ship to transport slaves across a dark, necrotically infused sea referred to locals as the Devil's Sea. As for the adventurers themselves, they have no knowledge of their location, nor how they wound up in this dusty old wooden floor, locked up in a makeshift brig in separate jail cells with a single guard. They all introduce themselves to one another. We had Kevin, or BlackZora325, playing Hwang, an energetic human monk looking for acceptance. Kirk, or Priest101, is Kriggle MalVahlmStein, a human cleric walking on the line of holy worship and vengeance. Tyler, or Tarviti, as ViliV, the Goliath Barbarian whose obsession for balance both metaphorically and literally has caused him many issues. Kyle, or ChibiKy, as Umbak, the mountain dwarf monk who's attempting to leave his past behind. And Ricardo, or Raconius, as Arundor, the wood elf ranger with no past to return to. They quickly do away with the guard and escape the confines of their prison, where they meet yet another stranger, a half-orc by the name of Grimgor Chandler. His eyes have been plucked out, his legs carved open from hip to ankle, and his right arm had been cut off. He offered information to the travelers, hoping to help before his death. However, the adventurers took Grimgor with them as they escaped the brig of the ship. They fought their way to the deck of the ship where they fought many additional pirates when a very unlikely ally shone up to assist them. A man who wears a wooden bucket over his head and attempts to save slaves from their prisons around the Devil's Sea. He's approaching the ship in a fleet of small rowboats being rowed by 7 children he adopted after saving them from slavers. 3 named Zach, 3 named Cody, and 1 without a name. The man, played by Alex, or Sir Alex, was known as Darth Vader, the human warlock. The party found the captain of the pirates, Hector Kraut, a dwarf that once fought alongside Grimgor for justice. The party disposed of him and saved another prisoner, Lars Uther, a human companion of Grimgor's and a naval expert. They gave the adventurers the coordinates to their headquarters, but the adventurers chose to complete the quest that Grimgor was doing before his betrayal by Hector. The party made up of Tay, Kriggle, ViliV, Umbak, Vader, and Arundor, plus the children, made their way to NJÖRN, a human town that had been overrun by goblins. The adventurers fought their way through the camp and saved the civilians that were being used for labor. They were also approached by a rather intimidating and flamboyant elf who looked very similar to Arundor. His name was Oreb Valuk. He approached in the form of a raven and basically taunted the party for making his work harder and referring to them as his new toys. They were unable to harm Oreb, who instead left, leaving behind a trinket of the Irunian family. The party took the human survivors, Emery, Gwendolyn, Nia, and Tarek the miners, Noah the farmer, Colin the courier, Ruth the woodcutter, and Lambert the miller with them as they went to the coordinates that Grimgor had given them. Upon reaching the location, they saw Grimgor. His eyes had returned and his wounds were all healed thanks to Darren, the cleric of the town. From this cleric they learned of Knoll, a very small hamlet that had a cursed tomb filled with undead. They made their way to the hamlet where Kriggle purchased a pony which he named Horsey, and through a very, very long fight, eventually saved the town. The rest returned to Grimgor's camp with the exception of Kriggle, who stayed behind for a hunting expedition. On their way back, the party met 2 new adventurers, James, or Harusoul1's character, the anxious half-elf ranger Dargan, and Matt, or UpSideDownGrunt's character, the loyal and true human fighter Askara Jornssen. With this, our party was complete. Arundor gained a wolf companion, Nirmo, and he, as well as Askara, Dargan, and ViliV, sailed with Lars to Port Argos. Darth Vader also joined the party in secrecy. In the meantime, Kriggle's failed hunting attempt led him to return to Grimgor's camp where he met up with Tay and Umbak. The job at Port Argos was pretty simple. It was a delivery job, but after learning of the corruption in this town, the party decided to take it upon themselves to help. They were also victim to an assassination attempt from Oreb. He knew the party would stop the killer, but for Oreb this was a game. They found out the Reeve of Port Argos was being blackmailed and manipulated by the leader of the guards in this town, who was pushing her own greedy and xenophobic agenda onto the people. She had ViliV arrested and was going to sell him into slavery, but he was saved by the party alongside another ragtag crew of adventurers. And that is where the story ended, with our party returning to Grimgor's camp. We concluded the first season last year, and I've had a couple messages, and maybe even a comment, which is rare for this channel, asking if it was done. Well, it never really ended. It's only one of many chapters in a series called the Triverm Chronicles. A world I created called Triverm contains the Dremerion Tales, which takes place on Dremeran. But over on the Saturday Morning Gamers channel, I've also DM'd another series that takes place on the same continent, referred to as Loots and Liars. The background is basically a group of thieves who work as entertainers, so I figured, why not go for the play on words of, as you've probably guessed, they loot and they are liars, but they also play loots and liars. Kyle from TrueFriendsGaming also hosted a series referred to as Forbidden Lovers, which takes place on the continent of Scandavia, created by yet another TFG member, Matt. It's basically an ethereal divorce story, and our pal Scott from ScottDougGaming created his own continent in Triverm known as Tehran, unless he changed it without me knowing, where he is running a campaign called Crimson Lotus. Anyway, you can check all of those out at the Saturday Morning Gamers YouTube channel, as well as our D&D live streams every Monday at 1 p.m. Central Time. That's the wrap-up. Hopefully you'll be Season 2 of the Dremerion Tales starting up soon. I'm Jordan, or JKU390, the Dungeon Master of said series. And until next time, everyone, later.